So in this segment, it's a slightly older story. I should have spoken about at the time, but I didn't. So I'm going to speak about it now because it's still relevant. So PMQ. So Keir Starmer is pushing for a vote on nurses' pay, which this is an intelligent move. But the only issue is that Keir Starmer hasn't said how much he wants nurses to be paid, and so what that means is if the government stick a number on it, say above 1%, say 4 or 5, will Labour support that? Because the Royal College of Nursing, they want a 12% pay rise, because I think that will deal with all of the cuts in real terms to their salaries and wages since 2010. So I'm not sure. If we talk about the story first, and then I'll give a bit of analysis later, or I'll try to give a bit of analysis later. So Boris Johnson has been urged to give MPs a vote on NHS pay in England at Prime Minister's questions. This is a smart move because it gets people on the record as to how they voted on the NHS, an NHS pay rise. It gets them on the record because they won't be able to hide. So this is an intelligent move from Keir Starmer, which is a rare thing for me to say. But there are issues that we'll talk about at the end. So Starmer said a proposed 1% pay rise amounting to a pay cut once inflation had been taken into account. And what annoys me is that this BBC article hasn't actually told us, is it a pay cut in real terms or is it actually a pay rise in real terms? So, thanks BBC. So Starmer, even his own MPs know he's got this wrong. That's what Starmer said about Boris Johnson. Mr. Johnson said he would study what an independent pay review panel says when it reports in May. The thing is, Boris Johnson doesn't really study. He's not a details man. The government has recommended a 1% pay rise to the body, saying the country can't afford more. But the thing is, the country can afford more because we've wasted tons of money on other things, billions of pounds on things like test and trace, etc. So it's a lie we can't afford it. Even if we had to borrow the money, it'd be worth it just to keep these people in the profession and give them the money they deserve, given the amount of sacrifices that they've had to make over the past year. And it's not just them; it's all key workers as well. But I think that once we've sort of dealt with the NHS workers and given them a pay rise, I think that conversation can broaden out. Because if we don't win here, we'll never win any of those other conversations because in truth the NHS workers are the ones who have given up the most, the ones who have looked after COVID positive patients and risked catching COVID themselves. So the NHS in England had budgeted for a 2.1% pay rise before the pandemic, so the money was allocated for. Starmer said the government had broken its promise to healthcare workers. I mean, government loves breaking promises. And he accused the PM of choosing to shut the door in their face at the first opportunity, having previously clapped for carers on the steps of Downing Street. This is a good attack. He also contrasted the proposed pay deal for the NHS with the £45,000 pay rise given to Dominic Cummings. It's a decent attack, but the thing is, there's a massive difference between giving, a massive amount of NHS workers a pay rise compared to a singular, increase in Dominic Cummings' salary. But, people may not see it like that. So it's decent manoeuvre here. The mask is really slipping, and we can see what the Conservative Party now stands for. I mean, this is not a secret. Like, it's now slipping. Like, this is the party they've always been. Like, I don't understand why you try to make it like, now I know who you really are, when we always knew this is who they were. You look at Thatcher, look at Cameron, look at May. Like, this isn't a tough one here. Cutting pay for nurses, putting taxes up on families, not bad. He's had the opportunity to change course, but he's refused to do so. So if he's so determined to cut NHS pay, will he at least show some courage and put it to a vote in Parliament? It's a good attack. It's a good attack. The Labour leader highlighted reported comments from unnamed Conservative MPs who don't have the guts to actually put their name in public, which shows you how gutless these Tory MPs are, calling the proposed pay deal inept and unacceptable. He claimed, and I think this is Starmer, that NHS pay had fallen by £800 in real terms, so that takes inflation into account. So, Boris Johnson said Starmer voted against an NHS pay rise, which isn't true. So Boris Johnson told MPs that Starmer voted against the 2019 long-term plan for the NHS after the Labour leader referred to it. That's not correct. There were no votes on the NHS funding bill 1920 to 2020. So that's Boris Johnson misleading Parliament during its main stages through Parliament. So, Boris Johnson said a massive debt was owed to NHS workers. So put the money on the table and, dish it out to them because they deserve it. So do all key workers. But we'll start with them and hopefully we go on from there. And the government had asked the review body to treat their pay award exceptionally in comparison with other public sector workers. So, he's saying that, look, everyone else is getting a pay cut, but we're determined to give the NHS a 1% pay rise, which is still a joke, to be honest. We're increasing pay for nurses. We're massively increasing our investment in the NHS. Where is this investment? How much? Because they said they were going to build 40 new hospitals and it was just 6. And we already know that the NHS is massively understaffed. So who are going to staff these 6 new hospitals? Huh? We are steering a steady course, whereas Sir Keir Starmer weaves and wobbles from one week to the next. Like, that's such a boring attack. If you're not on a steady course, mate, you're on a tugboat in a massive storm in the Bermuda Triangle. That's where the country is at the moment. That's the ship you're captain of, Boris Johnson. He defended the government's record, Boris here, on investment in NHS training and recruitment, and said he would study the board's final report in May. So it's a joke, to be honest. He's not going to study it because I don't know what that report will say, but I've got a feeling it's going to say that 1% pay rise is fair. This is Keir Starmer's making this an electoral issue in May because there are local elections in May. So Starmer talking about Boris Johnson, he promised to support our nurses after a salary increase of 1% was suggested by ministers. Conservatives say this is the BBC making things 50-50 again, where it says this is a real terms rise, but Labour argues inflation will make it a pay cut. So which one is it then, BBC? Can you please tell us? Can you actually look at the numbers and please tell us, honestly? NHS pay rise for England is decided nationally rather than by councils. So Starmer's making this a council election issue when it really isn't. But this is smart politics in that sense. It still is, in my opinion. But Starmer focused on this and other broad issues, saying voters would be concerned about how Britain recovers from the pandemic. Every vote in this election is a chance to show the Conservatives that the British people value our NHS and our key workers so much more than this government does. But I don't think we actually do care that much. The May 6th elections will include polls for district and county councils, police crime commissioners, city mayors, including in London. I don't know if where I live in Northampton we're going to have council elections this year because they've really done weird stuff with the council. So I'm genuinely confused about what's going on. Not that anyone listening really cares. The contests represent Starmer's first major test becoming Labour leader since April. Starmer admitted that local polls were going to be tough with activists constrained by COVID security rules. I mean, so are the Tories and the Lib Dems, so Starmer getting his excuse in early. But the thing is, if you went to knock on someone's door and you're a Labour canvasser, what do you tell them are the Labour Party's policies? Because I have absolutely no clue what they are. Absolutely no clue. Which is, all I know is they're against certain Conservative Party policies. They're against the 1% pay rise and they want it to be more. So what's the amount you want? Is it 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12% pay rise that the Royal College of Nurses want? Or is it 5 or 6%? Are you going to say compromise on 6? It's like halfway between both of them. Like, what do you actually want from this? That's what annoys me most about Starmer. Like, tell us what you're for, not just what you're against. You got this joker here, Amanda Milling, who's the Conservative co-chairwoman. Like, why do you need a co-chairwoman? Like, shouldn't there be, like, a chairperson? Isn't that just one position? You really need 2? Said Labour's politicians were more interested in playing political games than delivering good services. And she says Conservatives have a proven record of keeping the bills down. That's not true because the debt and deficit have gone up massively, even pre-pandemic. And providing better local services. The local services in my town are way worse now than pre-2010 because council funding has been cut. And so when council funding gets cut, that means services get cut. And when services get cut, that means services go down in terms of value and in terms of actual success and reliability. So what she's talking is absolute nonsense. Better local service, right? Get this, yeah. The Conservative council, that's my local council, right? They didn't grit one of the main roads when it was said it was going to snow because of budget cuts. So it snowed, and then they started gritting the roads, and everyone's like, what the hell are you guys doing? So this argument that the Conservatives offer better local services is pure myth. It's pure myth. And you can say my evidence is anecdotal. You ask anyone in my town, how good the local services are, they'll tell you they suck. They'll tell you they suck. There was a point last year where the company the council hired weren't even collecting the bins properly. Oh, sorry, weren't even cutting the grass or anything like that. The grass grew quite long. It's like halfway up my shin, I think. It was very long. Until my neighbour got really annoyed and she started cutting the grass outside near the street. So, sorry, I've gone off on one, but that it just annoys me that these people lie and get away with it. Dishi Rishi called the proposal, the 1% pay rise, proportionate, fair, and reasonable. Well, it says here that inflation is currently at 0.9%. So if it's a 1% pay rise, it should be in real terms a 0.01% pay rise. But I mean, you're arguing over minor numbers there at that point. Dishi Rishi saying the proposal was proportionate, fair, and reasonable based on affordability. The thing is, the country could afford it. He's just deciding not to do it. That's simply the case. Labour says a projected surge in inflation later this year will turn the 1% rise into a real terms pay cut for the NHS. So if that does happen, it will be a pay cut in real terms. I'm not sure 100% about this, but there are things called opposition days within Parliament, different parliaments. So an opposition day is a day in a legislature using the Westminster system in which an opposition party sets the agenda. Most days the parliamentary agenda is set by the government. Opposition days allow the smaller parties to choose the subject for debate. They also have that in Canada as well. So in the United Kingdom, there are 22 opposition days per parliamentary session. The official opposition, currently Labour, is allocated 17 days. The SNP get 3, and it doesn't look like the Lib Dems get any, which is funny, really, because they're a bit of a nothing party at the moment. Point being is that if there are any opposition days coming up, perhaps the Labour Party, if they're serious, could use this for their opposition day. I think it would be non-binding legislation. I'm not 100% sure how it works, but if there is an opposition day coming up, it does present Labour with the opportunity of actually doing something rather than just talking. But, Starmer's all talk. So who knows? Anyways, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.